Okay, so MEC stands for Middle East Center, and the unspoken part is for World Missions. So we established the MEC in 2019 in Beirut to be basically a platform, shared infrastructure for missions, because we want to see missions not to be considered as just from the west to the rest, but also from everywhere to everywhere. We want to see Middle Eastern missionaries being sent in their own regions and to other countries in the Middle East and beyond. Because the Great Commission is for everybody, right? Not just for people that look a certain way. Really the gospel started in the Middle East, right? So I think it can spread from the Middle East again. We really see Beirut as the new Antioch. Antioch became the mission sending base for the kingdom after Jerusalem. And that's where the missionary effort went out throughout the Roman Empire. And so what we're doing is we're basically partnering with a lot of the churches in the Middle East. There's over 100 churches in Lebanon that we partner with currently, evangelical churches. We partner with almost all evangelical churches in Lebanon. And we're trying to add value to them. We're trying to raise them up and train them in all these different things that are needed for the Great Commission. And so if I go back here one slide, this is the chart that shows kind of the strategy that we employ and a lot of the different areas in which we're doing training. So the sentence that I repeat about this is healthy churches, which are healthy families, healthy leaders, and healthy administrations. Healthy churches gathering together, reaching out with the gospel, having a global voice through media, and being guided by a biblically faithful strategy. So when we do all those things together, then we're actually providing platforms for believers to get together with like-minded believers, people that have the same giftings, and be able to teach each other and learn from each other, collaborate, create. And what we're seeing is we're trying to basically see an Arab evangelical renaissance for the gospel. And so a big part of that, and I'm trying to get back to this, today what we're talking about in this session is media. And so we call this MEC Creative, is one of the three main parts of the MEC. So did you guys all get an MEC brochure? Ziad can give you some of those. And so if you see over here on the left, you got MEC Grow, MEC Proclaim, MEC Creative. That's another way of basically looking at this Pentagon chart, but in 3 easy groups. So MEC Creative really is all about trying to cultivate the worship arts. So we're talking anything from visual arts to music, to theater, to dance, to whatever it is, poetry, skits. And then the media production side is basically how do you turn those arts, how do you turn them into media that's compelling, engaging, and state-of-the-art. And then the social media center is really where the distribution happens. So we're training people and benefiting from their expertise in all these different areas through MEC Creative. And so we actually are building studios right now in Beirut. We're almost done with our studio building project. And maybe I'll try to show you some pictures of the studios. Yeah, so right here, this picture down here is of the main, the video studio that we're just kind of building. You can see there's still paper on the floor. That's how new this is. And this was actually before we had our we have the lighting kit just installed there. And so believers from all different evangelical churches in Lebanon are coming to the studio. We're filming them. They're sharing their testimonies on air. They're creating social media, and we're teaching them how to market that, how to distribute it for their own churches and for these platforms that we have. Like, for example, our biggest platform is called Pure Heart of the Middle East. It's focused on Arab women and it has about, I think, maybe 200,000 followers. And we've just seen millions of minutes of videos viewed, where we're putting scripture into videos, and we're testing those videos with a focus group of Muslim background women to make sure that that it fits the audience. And so we're teaching all these skills of production from writing, ideation, to storyboarding, to just the whole spectrum of like acting and filming, and then distribution and boosting. And then also we have follow-up teams on the back end that follow up with people that are interested in learning more. We have a lot of people that contact us and need prayer. They complain about personal problems that they're having, and all of these are avenues through which we can share the gospel with them. So we also do our media studios. We actually partner with a lot of different global ministries who are trying to get their material into the region. One of those is Jesus Film. Another one of them is, we've done theological education materials, Third Mill, Ligonier Ministries. We're like the voice of R.C. Sproul in Arabic. So we help, there's a Brazilian pastor that, we get his sermons that were done in Portuguese, translated into English. We translate it into Kurdish. And we run their Kurdish language social media platforms. And so Kurds are hearing the gospel from a Portuguese-speaking Brazilian pastor in Kurdish. So it's just like, this is globalization of the kingdom, where they support our studio. These are paid contracts, so they pay us to help them get their Christian media into the region. So this is how we're kind of forging these kingdom alliances and partnerships, and we're kind of just releasing all the talents and all the curricula that have been made and the books, and we translate books into regional languages, and we're also working on Bible translation in regional languages as well. So, does anybody have any questions so far? Anybody else excited about this?
When you say visual arts,
Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Okay, so do you see these young ladies right here sketching?
yeah, look at that.
Yeah. So we actually have fine arts interns who are teaching. Let me actually, because you asked that, I'm going to go to my Dropbox, and I'm going to find some photos. We actually have 35 fine art students right now that are being taught by believing interns, and they're doing really awesome artwork. So let's see, the MEC, if we look at Worship Arts Center, and we go to, so that's the picture that I showed you. This is some of the art that our people are doing. I'm trying to zoom in, but I'm having trouble. Okay. Yeah. So this is some of the art that our interns and students are doing. This is a mural that they put on, one of the girls put on the wall of the MEC. This is Eve, the main instructor. And we're also working on creating a Christian animation studio. So we're trying to apply, like we have 9 graphic designers that are working on the computer side, and then we're trying to learn the software for animation so that we can in the future be making animated videos, and hopefully we have a vision in the future to even make feature-length 3D animation. Right now we're working on the 2D animation. We're hoping in the future to do that. So if you guys know anybody who has expertise in 2D animation or 3D animation, we would love to have your gifts, or their gifts released on the church in the Middle East so that we can be training them. They have so much potential, and we really just need to get the believers together, the right people in the right time, in the right spaces together, to be really investing in these gifts and seeing what God is doing. Most of them are from the churches, but they're also, some of these art students are non-believers, and they're getting into like a Christian ministry through that. Like we have 45 music students that are being taught, guitar, voice, piano, drums, and we're forming them into bands together. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I will get to this. Yeah, so like this was one of our band workshops just a couple of weeks ago, where we're putting them together in front of each other to perform after they've been taking music lessons for a few months. And you can see this is the Worship Arts Center on the wall there. We do worship nights, and just these people are now learning to serve their churches better. They had some musical talent, but they didn't have anybody to really invest in them. And so some of these guys are learning drums, some of them are learning guitar, and then we have interns from local churches that are teaching them. So it's really just like bringing together, giving them this space and bringing them together so that they can collaborate and work together. And in Lebanon, we have 14 different evangelical denominations. So we have Pentecostals, we have Assemblies of God, Church of God, we have Evangelical Free Church, we have the Alliance Church, Nazarene Church, Brethren, we have Independent Baptist, Southern Baptist, we have all these Presbyterian, and so sometimes they're in silos. Sometimes they don't really collaborate a lot with each other. Sometimes they're open to it, but they don't have a place to do that, except if they run into a believer that they know in a restaurant. Oh, hi, whatever. But what if they're, what we're doing, why we created this is, what if there could be a space where they could all be together and work together and minister together, where it's not belonging to one church or the other, it's in a neutral place, but it's a Christian place. And so that's why we're trying to create these spaces. And so yeah, this is just, and one of the scenes in my mind that I just really loved was okay, I need to tell you another thing before that. Okay, so one thing that we did for the worship thing is called Sauti Ilak, which is a this is Sauti Ilak. It was a worship song competition. Okay, and so we held this at a local seminary, Arab Baptist Theological Seminary. We had about 300 people in the crowd and 500 more people streaming live via social media. And we have this panel of judges you can see here. And these people are they work, a couple of them. So this guy's an opera singer. He's a Lebanese opera singer. This lady and this man, they work at the Lebanese Conservatory of Music. So they're really high-level musicians. And this guy is one of our staff members who writes his own Arabic worship music. He has his own albums, and he writes in a very Middle Eastern style of music. And so they're the panel of judges that was, we had these 5 bands from different churches come up and perform worship music that was original, that they wrote, that had never been heard before by these other churches. Okay, so that's really exciting to me because, so here are some of the pictures of that. Because really, these people who have written worship music, they're starting to sing their songs in their own church. But what about the other churches? The other churches have never heard these songs, didn't know they exist. There's no songbook for all these songs where they can access that, or they have the chords, unless they just heard about it randomly and asked somebody for the chords or something. It would have to happen as a happenstance, as a chance. In Egypt, there's a Korean missionary who compiled a huge songbook, and that songbook is used all over the Middle East. And even in Lebanon, we use this songbook, but it's mostly Egyptian music, Egyptian songs. There's not been that type of project in Lebanon. So what we're doing as an organization, we're undertaking that project. So we're compiling, and we're trying to do it as an online, we're creating an app and an online music database where their original worship musics, and so we're getting submissions from actually around the world, Lebanese and other people that are submitting their music so that it can be put on our website with links to, so that people can hear recordings or see videos of the music, and then sheet music. And we're creating an app for worship music, for worship leaders, so that they can put their set list into the app. They can change the key of the song, and it'll change it'll transpose everything. So we're just trying to encourage people to use their gifts. And we want, if somebody's written a song and it's not getting anywhere, let's get it somewhere. Let's get it to the other churches. And so these songs had never been heard before by these other churches. And what I loved is that the panel of judges was giving totally honest feedback and evaluating them. And the panel of judges judged the songs. And then also we had a voting app that we created for this event where the audience was voting on their favorite songs. And then the winners were getting a free recording, a studio recording of their song. And then also we were making a video clip for a music video for the top song. And so this was these are some of the different performances. These are the bands up on stage. And it was a really exciting event, and now it's going to be an annual event. So we're now prepping for the next event. And then, so let me see. Okay, this music video filming just happened last week, and I asked one of our media guys to upload the pictures, but they're not there yet. Anyway, I wanted to show you the music video being filmed. So what I was going to tell you about is that we did this worship night. And I got to sing a song that I wrote in Arabic with my oud. This is you can't see it, but it's kind of like a Middle Eastern guitar with no frets. And then I sung an English song they asked me to, that I had written. So in this worship night, there was this moment where the band, which was a multi-church band, was playing one of the songs from the worship song competition, one of the winning songs. And in walks the girl who wrote it. And she just walked in, and you could just see this excitement on her face, they're singing my song. And that for me was a little transformative moment of this is what we want. Let's do that more. We want to see, whoever who has written a song, we want to see their songs sung in other churches. We want to get their music out there. And so that's just, to me, that's super exciting. I was a music student, all throughout school and studied, vocal performance. And so I never, until this has started developing, I never really had ways to really put my just musical, passions into ministry. But I feel because of the Pentagon that has all these different things to it, for me, I'm just passionate about a lot of different things in there. I can't do them all, but I can encourage people to do those things. And it's really exciting seeing those things happen. Does anybody have any comments or questions about this? Yeah.
For your animation, is
Mm-hmm.
that going to be geared toward younger, the children?
Both. At first, we're starting it with, so the question was, for the streamers, is the animation geared toward the youth or kids or adults? For now, we're starting out with mostly animation for kids, but actually that's not true. So we got a couple projects going on. We have one for kids. We've launched a kids YouTube channel where we're doing some crafts and we're trying to do some animated videos. And there's a Lebanese worship songwriter and singer that we're taking his songs and we're trying to animate them. So we're still early on in that project. But then there's another project which is for adults, which is called Kingdom Servant DNA. It's something that I've been writing for the past several years to kind of describe our organizational culture as Horizons. And so it's basically, it's about servant leadership. And so in that project, the animation team is helping me by creating creating images for that curriculum. And so we're going to be creating an app to be the primary distribution way for that curriculum. So it's going to have these artistic images along with that. I'm pretty sure I have them in a Dropbox somewhere, just to show you a couple of them. Yeah, brother.
If you're looking for the video clip, it's on MEC events.
Which video clip?
Instagram.
Which one?
The shooting of the video clip.
Oh, yeah, that's on the Instagram.
MEC events.
Okay. How do I do that? Anyway, no, I was going to look for the animation thing, but if you can find the link on your phone and send it to me, I could probably put it up if you WhatsApp it to me. I just wanted to show you some of these images. Kingdom Servant DNA. That's not it. Okay. Okay, let me see if I can find that. Okay. Oh, so this is it. So we found this charming cottage up in the mountains of Lebanon to use as the venue, and this is the band. So this is where they were filming the music video. We haven't edited it together yet, but I'm excited to see the final product. And the song is called. Oh no, that's a different song that I was thinking of. Duna an nudrikoka. Without knowing you. Okay, so yeah, that was just some photos of the filming of that. And then yeah, I'm going to do one more effort to try to find these. Or I could, yeah, I'll try to find that. Anybody have any other questions or? Okay, here it is actually. Oh, there's nothing in there. I know I had. Yeah, so that's one of the things. Okay, so here's one of the images, like a watercolor. This was about Isaiah 11. A shoot has come up from the stump of Jesse. So this is one of the things for Kingdom Servant DNA, some sketches. You asked about the app development. Yeah, so one of the things we're doing is we're teaching full stack web development to Syrians and Lebanese. So we have about 15 people right now in that team. A few of them are now, can do full stack. And we're starting to actually build websites for other ministries and even companies as a way to provide jobs and do outsourcing work. So these were, let's see here. Yeah, so we're kind of doing some concepts for, like, this one is about, becoming a disciple that God wants to replicate. This is about, these are just sketches of, like, letting Scripture transform your heart and mind. This one looks a little new agey to me, so we got to. This one is about, like, replication of DNA, like the good apple seed and the bad apple seed. Like, if you have things that are unhealthy about you spiritually in your DNA, like when you disciple people, those corrupt parts are going to be replicated into them. And so just talking about kind of like letting God transform us and make us healthy so that we can be disciples that are worthy of being multiplied. And so, yeah, so I just love, like, just the creative process. that is starting to happen with all these Middle Eastern believers, and just seeing their gifts, just come out, and we're just finding all kinds of new ways to just apply those gifts directly to ministry. And so I think sometimes when you do a lot of different things, there's a temptation to get distracted into like, oh, we're really all about that. But we're really always trying to make sure that we're just really focused on the gospel. We're really focused on like all of this needs to add up to people coming to Christ, people being discipled, people being trained to go out and also share the gospel and disciple others and train others, and on and on. So yeah, we see so much destruction happening in Lebanon. It's much like the kingdom of Israel that was being cut off because of its corruption, right? That's just the scripture reminding me of that. This, when Isaiah said a shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse, there was actually still a king on the throne from the line of David. Okay, so that prophecy is really strange, because how did you know that Israel is going to become a stump? How did you know that the kingdoms are going to fall and everything's going to get cut off? And then predicting also, this is a God thing obviously, that the Messiah will come, Jesus will come, who is the root of Jesse, and he will be a shoot of Jesse, this new life. So for me, I feel like we're just like reliving another cycle of history where the corrupt governors of a place have just gone into just idolatry, worship of money, corruption, and that's why like Lebanese currency has crashed to like less than 5% of its former value. But in that cutting off and in that destruction, we're still seeing little buds of growth come up, and so that's what this kind of means for me. Anybody else have any questions or? Or should I just keep telling you stuff? Yeah. How could you help? Well, what are you interested in helping with? What do you do? I need to learn more about you. Okay.
Yes. So my face lit up. Just
Yeah.
like same materials, like right there. So how can we help?
Come on over to Lebanon. Okay, so the question was that she's an artist. How can she help? Her face lit up when she saw the same, art supplies being used and things. So yeah, I think presence in Lebanon would be really useful, unless you want to do something via Zoom, just be painting on the screen, No, just kidding.
Any samples of the paintings?
Yeah, we were just showing some of those. And the newsletter, does anybody have a Horizons newsletter? Anybody have that latest newsletter? Because actually one of the paintings was used on the cover of one of our latest newsletters. It's the one, it's the one after that. Oh, I can find it. I can find it really quick. No, it's okay. Actually, I don't know if we have that particular newsletter. Yeah, it is online, but I'll just get it from the back end here. Okay, yeah, so this one is like faith like a mustard seed. So this one was kind of also related to that kingdom servant DNA thing. And so the painting was done just like to show that inside the tree there's the DNA and just, yeah. So from a seed, yeah. What's that? Yeah, this is Eve who did that, and just it becomes what Jesus was saying is that the mustard seed is the smallest seed that is planted, and yet it can grow up into a big bush that can even provide shelter for the birds. And so that's why she has these little birds in there. Yep. So yeah. It's a huge blessing. And then what was I about to show you? Okay, I was going to talk to you. Oh, how can we get involved? Well, we have a whole team that's dedicated to receiving international visitors and trying to make their time well used. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, short-term mission trips can be a waste of time. Sometimes, like, I heard a story about, like, there's just one example that comes to my mind, about, like, 4, like, top-level marketing executive guys that wanted, they went on a mission trip, and they just got put to work, like, building pews for a church, like, woodworking. And I think that was great that they're willing to serve in a humble way and do something, but I think there's probably some local woodworkers that could handle that if we were smart enough to figure out how we can use the amazing expertise that these guys have in a way in their strong suit. I don't think that, I'm sure the pews that they built were like, you could sit on them, but like I think that they have like much more value, but it's really hard to make use of that, especially when, let's say I'm a pastor of a small church. How do I use that? But if we have something that's a neutral platform where we bring together, it's like a consolidator of a bunch of different churches, then we might be able to do, let's say, a marketing seminar where we could actually help the churches, to train certain people that are the right people to train, not just random people from one church, but like get the right people in the room. That could actually add tremendous value to be sharing those expertise. So if you want to come, and I don't know if you like to teach art or just collaborate on art or whatever it is, like just come over. And, when you tell our team that's talking to you, communicating with you about all the logistics or whatever, you tell them what you're interested in. I'm an artist, I'd like to, get involved in that. They'll connect you to the right people so that you can start making relationships in there. And you never know where those relationships can go. So who would like one of these? Oh, you got it. All right. Anybody else? There's more of these right here. And we're really just trying to leave no gift behind. We want to give everybody an opportunity to make an impact. So, so I guess I'll just continue talking unless you guys have any questions. So these are some of the design interns as of last summer. These are discipleship interns. Some of these, as you notice, are Muslim background, and even some of them still veiled. These are the tech interns at that time. This was the first round of tech interns that were doing full stack development. This guy now, Jad, he was 21 when he came in, last year. Now he's 22. No, but now he's actually a full stack developer. He had never written a line of code when he came to us, but we put him through an online training program with this group, and we gave him projects to complete, and found that he was succeeding in that. So we have international interns. A lot of these are from China, so they cannot have their faces on there. And then we have media interns where we're teaching them photography. We're teaching them cinema. What do you call it? Cinematography, yeah. Videography, basically. So, and then video editing, motion graphics, things like that. And they are now putting that into creating Christian media that's going all over the region, all over the world to Arabic speakers. And so now we're in the process of launching 2 new social media platforms, one for women, like young women, youth, and one for young men, youth. So that's been a challenge because that demographic is just really hard for people like me to understand what they're really interested in, especially like Muslim background youth. We just had to do a lot of research and trying to figure out who can help us with this, and trying to find people of that age group, see what's out there on social media. So we do a lot of watching together of different, we analyze what's this social media platform doing all that research together, and just trying to learn these skills together to get this going, because somebody's got to do it. And always we're seeing that the skills that they learn, they're going back to their churches and putting them to use in their churches. And that's really like part of our goal, is to get them to be blessing their churches. A lot of the pastors feel that they have nobody to delegate to. Well, we're making people for them to delegate to. We're training up their people. And not every church can have a fine arts program and a media studio and like all these different things. So we're trying to, create that capacity, create that infrastructure, open it up so it's, open to all these churches so that they can benefit as if they had their own studio, as if they had their own, all of those things. Yeah. Also, another way to connect there is just to send an email to trips@horizonsinternational.org. And there's also virtual ways. Like I said, I think last session, we had my friend Vinny, who is he's in the San Francisco Bay Area. He's an Instagram marketing guy. He did a workshop via Zoom for our people about helping Arab Christians learn how to use Instagram for their church ministries. And so they really benefited from that, and it's a great way for him to serve without even leaving his home. So yeah. And then here's my dad. He's got people with their hands in the air, so it must have been really important. I don't know what they're doing, but it looks exciting. So they must have been training, collaborating. He trains on all kinds of things, from Bible translation to evangelism to discipleship, church planting, and all these people are passing it on to others. So yeah, that's basically what I have to say about this. Any other questions or ideas? Or
how many people do you have on the ground in Lebanon?
How many people do we have on the ground in Lebanon for the camera? We have about 130 staff and interns right now in Lebanon and surrounding countries. So it's grown beyond what we ever thought it would. Because 10 years ago, the team in Lebanon was me and my wife, Gigi. 10 years ago. And then in the summer of 2012, we brought on our first staff couple, and then in the fall, we brought on our second staff couple. So by the end of 2012, we were 6 people. And then by 2013, we had doubled to about 12 or 13 people. By the next year, we doubled. We spent a few years doubling. And now, thankfully, we're not doubling, but we're still, kind of growing fast. And then one thing I could tell you about is that we are providing employment for believers. So we're bringing on staff members like crazy right now. And so we're trying to create just basically any kind of revenue sources that we can. So right now, like there are 9 media production staff. They are, doing media services for different ministries that are getting, their materials into the region. We have 9 graphic designers. I don't know why this is not charging. I have to hit the button on the power strip. Sweet. Get the brains on me. Graphic designers are we're doing rebrands for, there's a medical startup that we're doing a rebrand for, and doing all their, we're giving their logo a haircut, and we're doing their business card and, all the graphics, branding package for them. A barbecue sauce company. These are 2 believers that have these companies. Another one is there's a woman who's a grant writer, and we're doing her website. And then, we're also doing, we're running the books, like accounting for 5 different U.S. companies. We have 4 accountants in Lebanon, 1 in Egypt. And so we're working with a fractional CFO in Seattle, who's a friend of mine, who's a believer. And he's been training, our Lebanese accountants to run the books on his clients' companies. So anything that we can do to bring in revenue for the believers is just really a huge blessing, because a lot of people are being, really tempted to leave the country. So we had never done things like this before, but we found that the Lord had been kind of positioning us with the infrastructure to make this happen. So we're even doing some marketing work, we're doing data, what do you call it? like data mining for marketing, a marketing company, where we actually have now 2 people on the marketing thing. Just 2 weeks ago, we brought on this guy named Antoine. Antoine was working for a food distribution company in Lebanon, and he wasn't making enough money to put food on the table just because of the currency devaluation. So we gave him over twice what he was making. And it's still not like he's going to be living in luxury or something, but it's much better than what he had before. And we were only able to do that because I have a friend in Texas who works for this software company, and they gave us a little contract to do this data gathering thing. So basically, we're just trying to find any kind of partners that we can who can just offer this or that. We have actually 2 architects. One of them is on staff. One of them is in a church that we partner with. And so if anybody needs some architectural drafting services, we can do that. But also, in the meantime, maybe I'll just pull this out right now. We have been dreaming of a big building for the MEC in the future that would have, let me see if I can sign in here real quick. That would have like a full performing arts center in it. Let me see here. It's making me log in. Okay, great. So I'm going to show you like an artistic, like a concept, architectural concept for the MEC. Let's see. And so I'm going to be working with the architect on staff. Like he's been working on a set for a program that we're about to film for Christian families. It's a curriculum that my dad created for Christian families from Muslim background. So he's built, he designed the set for that. And then I'm also going to be putting him to work on refining this into an actual architectural drawing, where right now this is just a concept. It doesn't even have like support beams or anything. But this is a concept for the Middle East Center. The lobby, to go in there and just have like a full, conference center where you can have conferences, you can have meals, you can have classrooms, you can have, oh man, where did I go? You can have, maybe we were dreaming of a rooftop cafe up there, co-working spaces, classrooms, and then also, let's see if I can get to this, like an auditorium that would seat up to 1,400 people, so that we could do, conferences, or conferences, evangelistic rallies, like plays, concerts, all kinds of things. So this is what we're dreaming of. We don't have that kind of real estate capacity right now, but actually, with the economic collapse, there are now like real estate deals to be had. So we're praying that the Lord is going to allow us to get a place where we can build a center that really would house this big vision that we have. But for now, we're just trying to carry it out on the human side, trying to build out the human resources that it needs to lead this. And we're just seeing that the Lord is just blessing what's going on. And still the needs are so huge. So yeah, pray for us.
Very exciting.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, anybody else have any thoughts or questions?
You said that you learned a lot from research when you were developing the platform for young men from Muslim backgrounds. What would you say are some of the things you learned that were most effective for that population?
Yeah, so the question was that I said that we're learning a lot when we're doing research about like social media for young men, for young women. What are some of the things that we've learned? Honestly, I'm having trouble thinking of what we've learned about the youth ones because we're still in the beginning. And really, I feel like the learning happens more. Okay, there's a certain amount of learning that you do on the research side, But then when you get to trial and error, that's when I feel like we really learn stuff. I'll give you some examples of stuff we've learned about like social media for our bigger platform, which is aimed at Muslim women. For example, very first video that we put on this focus group that we created of like, it's all actually Muslim background people. Most of them are women. There's a couple guys on there as well because they're also Muslim background and they have good ideas. The first video that we put on there was this shot in the end of, the Jesus statue in Brazil. Are you Brazilian? Or you're Spanish? Okay. I just, for some reason, when I was talking about Brazil, you were kind of like, I don't know. I was just wondering. So, the statue of Jesus in Brazil, in Rio. We had some kind of shot of that statue in a video. And so when we put it to the focus group, they came back and said, Muslim women, Hamida is actually the name of our archetype, the persona. So they said, Hamida actually looks at Christians as idol worshippers and people who drink alcohol. And so when you put a statue up there, they think that you're worshiping an idol of Jesus. So we're like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of that. Like, I just thought it was like something about Jesus. Like, but they're looking at it as a statue, an idol. So we took that out. Another thing was like, there was one about he loves me not, with a flower being picked, and somebody had written kind of this poetic thing about God's love for me. Does he, the love of the Father is always unconditional and stuff. It's not he loves me not. And so we were not sure if that flower picking thing was a part of Muslim culture. So we just kind of like sent it by the focus group, and they said, oh yeah, that's totally something that I did on the schoolyard when I was a little girl. And then she gave us the group gave us like 3 or 4 other like ideas for what Muslim girls would do or what their mentality was, and ideas that we could use as visual elements in subsequent videos. So that's a couple examples of just like things that we've learned. Another one is just like one of the early videos that we had. It had like, we were talking about freedom in Christ, and then like a woman was like walking on the beach and like the wind is blowing and whatever. And when they saw it, what?
I like your impression.
Oh yeah. Looked like a shampoo commercial, No, but we didn't know. Like they said, oh my gosh, like her legs are naked. They said her legs are naked. I'm like, I didn't know it's naked. What do you mean? Oh, like she's kind of wearing a skirt, but like, and the wind is kind of flowing. So, but like for them, that's like, ooh, like don't do that. So when we're talking about freedom of Christ, we're going to be misunderstood when we do that. So we have to start watching the sleeves. Where are in the stock video that we're using for the videos, we have to watch where are the sleeves, because the tank top, that's not okay. We got to make sure that it's this or that or whatever. So having eyes of that demographic is really important. So right now, we don't have a lot of like 16-year-old, Muslim boys on our team, but we got to like find the next best thing. So you can pray for that research, and maybe I need to let you know when we learn something so I can share it with you.
Thanks. How big is
Sure.
the focus group?
Focus group, probably like 6 or 7 people.
Okay.
Yeah, and we just have a WhatsApp group. And so it's not like we meet as a focus group. Like we have so many groups that like there's not enough time in the day to like meet with all of them. So that's why we have to do a lot of them online. And we do synchronous groups and we do asynchronous groups. So asynchronous group would be like a WhatsApp group where at any time of the day you can send a message on it and everybody in that group gets the message, so that you don't have to do the scheduling part of like everybody has to be online at this particular time. So we're dealing with multiple time zones. We're dealing with like, so many, just the number of groups. There's so much traffic that you just got to like really be careful about what do you put on which groups so that, because it's just too much. Too much for everybody, but if you get the right people in the room and virtual rooms and the right WhatsApp groups, then it's just like, it's golden.